Admiral Catherine Stone stood on the bridge of the EDF horizon, watching the stars through the main window. The year was 2387, and humanity had just learned how to travel faster than light. Their new quantum fold drive could bend space itself, letting ships jump between star systems in minutes. Instead of years, Catherine had been exploring space for 3 months now. Her ship was one of 12 that Earth had sent to map nearby star systems. So far, they had found empty planets, dead rocks, and lots of space dust. No signs of life anywhere. That changed when they reached Proxima Centauri. "Admiral, we're getting a signal," said Lieutenant Pete Davis from his station. "It's not from Earth." Catherine felt her heart skip. "Put it on screen." The main display flickered, then showed something that made everyone on the bridge go silent. It was a face, but not human. The creature had blue skin, 4 eyes, and what looked like tentacles where a mouth should be. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am High Arbitrator Vex Thale of the Korthony Empire. I speak for the Galactic Concord, the governing body of this galaxy. We have been watching your species." Catherine stepped forward. "This is Admiral Catherine Stone of the Earth Defense Fleet. We come in peace." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peace is what we offer, Admiral Stone, but it comes with conditions. Your species has developed faster than light travel. This means you can no longer remain isolated. You must join the galactic community." "We would be honored," Catherine replied carefully. "The honor is not yours to claim," Vexthal said coldly. "The Galactic Concord has maintained order across 847 civilizations for over 3,000 years. We have rules. You will follow them." The alien's image changed, showing a long list of demands. Catherine read them with growing horror. Earth had to give up all military ships. They had to destroy their quantum fold technology. They had to accept alien monitors in Earth's orbit. Worst of all, humans would become what the aliens called Category 7 species, basically slaves with no rights. "You have 7 galactic cycles to comply," Vexthal continued. "That is about 14 of your Earth days. If you refuse, we will take corrective action." The transmission ended. Catherine stared at the empty screen, her mind racing. She turned to her crew. "Get me Earth Command, Priority 1. Back on Earth, President Marcus Riley sat in the emergency meeting room deep under the White House. Around the table sat the most powerful people on the planet. Director Helen Park from the Colonial Administration looked pale. General Paul Martinez from Fleet Command had his jaw clenched tight. "They want us to surrender everything." Catherine's voice came through the speakers. "Our ships, our technology, our freedom." "How many ships do they have?" asked General Martinez. "Unknown, sir. But they claim to control 847 different species. If each species has even a small fleet, we're looking at thousands of ships." Director Park leaned forward. "Maybe we should consider their offer. We've only been in space for 3 months. They've been out there for thousands of years." "Their offer?" Martinez slammed his fist on the table. "They want to make us slaves." "They want to make us safe," Park shot back. "Look at what happened to every species that tried to fight them. They're all gone or serving the Concord now." "President." Riley held up his hand for silence. "What do we know about their technology?" "It's advanced," Catherine replied. "But their ships look old, like they haven't changed their designs in centuries. They seem to rely on size and numbers rather than innovation." "What about our advantages?" Riley asked. General Martinez spoke up. "Our quantum fold drive is completely different from their technology. They use something called exotic matter to travel. Our method might be harder for them to track or stop." "That's not enough," Park said. One advantage against thousands of years of experience? We should negotiate. Negotiate what? Martinez replied. They've given us no room to bargain. It's total surrender or war. Riley closed his eyes. In just 14 days, he had to make a decision that would determine humanity's future. Submit and become slaves, or fight and probably die. The answer came from an unexpected source. 3 days later, the EDF Horizon made another discovery. In the Kepler 442 system, they found ancient ruins on a dead planet. The structures were massive, clearly built by an advanced civilization. Dr. Lisa Wright, the ship's science officer, led the exploration team. What they found in the ruins changed everything. The builders were called the architects, and they had fought the Galactic Concord long ago. They had lost, but they had left behind technology that could help humanity. Among the ruins, Lisa found a message crystal. When activated, it showed a hologram of a tall, graceful being with silver skin and glowing eyes. The architect spoke in, a voice like music. If you are seeing this, then the Concord has found you. They will demand your surrender. They will threaten your destruction. Do not believe their lies about peace and order. The Concord is a machine that devours freedom itself. The hologram continued. We fought them once. We had weapons that could disrupt their technology. We had ships that could hide in dimensions. They cannot see. We had the power to resist. But we were alone. You are not alone. There are others who remember what freedom means. Find them. Unite them. Show the galaxy that tyranny can be defeated. The message ended with coordinates to other. Architect sites across the galaxy. Catherine sent the recording to Earth immediately. When President Riley watched it, his decision became clear. 12 hours before the deadline, Earth broadcast its answer across all alien frequencies. Admiral Catherine Stone delivered the message herself, standing proud in her uniform on the bridge of the EDF Horizon. This is Admiral Catherine Stone of the Earth Defense Fleet, speaking for all humanity. We have received your ultimatum. We have considered your demands. Our answer is simple. Humanity does not kneel. She paused, looking directly into the camera. We are not your subjects. We are not your slaves. We are free beings, and we will remain free. If you want to take our freedom, you will have to fight for it. And we promise you this. We will make that fight cost more than you ever imagined. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Concord prepared for war. On Earth, humanity prepared to fight for its very existence. Catherine looked out at the stars again. Somewhere among them, alien fleets were already moving toward Earth. The war for humanity's freedom was about to begin. She smiled grimly. Let them come. Humans had always been at their best when their backs were against the wall. Now the entire galaxy would learn what that meant. The alien fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system exactly 1 week after Earth's defiant message. 200 ships, each one bigger than anything humanity had ever built. They came in a perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the distant light of the sun. War Marshal Kethver of the Saurian Dominion commanded the fleet from his massive flagship. He was a reptilian creature with scales like armor and eyes like burning coals. He had crushed 17 rebellions in his long career. This would be his 18th. Scan the human settlements, he ordered his crew. Find their military installations. We will destroy them one by one until they surrender. On Earth, alarms rang in every military base. President Riley stood in the command center, watching the alien fleet on the main screen. General Martinez was beside him, his face grim. They're not even trying to hide, Martinez said. They want us to see them. They want us to be afraid. Are we afraid? Riley asked. Martinez smiled coldly. We're terrified, but we're also angry. And angry humans are dangerous. The first battle happened near Mars. Captain Jake Morrison commanded the defense frigate EDF Defiance, one of only 30 ships Earth had ready for combat. His vessel was tiny compared to the alien cruisers, but it was fast and hard to hit. Remember, Morrison told his crew over the comm, "We're not trying to win, we're trying to hurt them. Make them pay for every inch of space." The alien ships opened fire first. Beams of energy lanced out, bright enough to blind. Most missed the small human ships, but 2 frigates died in the first volley. The EDF Courage and EDF Liberty exploded in balls of fire. Morrison gritted his teeth. "All ships, attack pattern Delta. Hit and run. Don't let them get a clean shot." The human ships scattered like angry wasps. They were too small to hurt the big alien cruisers, but they could damage the smaller escort ships. The EDF Defiance dove under a Saurian destroyer, its guns blazing. The alien ship's shields flared but held. And Morrison had an idea. A crazy, desperate idea. Navigation, plot a quantum fold jump. Put us right next to their flagship. "Sir, that's suicide. We can't fold space that close to another ship." "Exactly," Morrison said. "We can't, but what if we try anyway?" The crew understood. If they tried to fold space while overlapping with another ship, the quantum field would collapse. The explosion would destroy both vessels. "Sir, we have families," said his gunner, Lieutenant Carroll Hayes. "So do the people on Earth," Morrison replied. "They're counting on us." The crew nodded. They were scared, but they were ready. Morrison activated the quantum fold drive. The space around the EDF Defiance began to bend and twist. The alien flagship fired desperately, trying to destroy the small human ship before it could complete. Its jump got too late. The quantum field collapsed. The explosion lit up space like a new star. The EDF Defiance vanished instantly, along with Morrison and his crew. But the alien flagship died too, taking War Marshal Kethfor with it. 3 nearby cruisers were caught in the blast and destroyed. The alien fleet stopped its advance. They had lost their commander and 4 ships to a single small human vessel. This was not how the war was supposed to go. While the aliens regrouped, other battles were fought throughout the solar system. Commander Rick Foster led Earth's Special Forces in attacks on alien supply ships. Using modified mining vessels, his teams hit the aliens where they weren't expected. Foster's ship, the EDF Miner, looked like a harmless cargo hauler. But hidden in its hold were advanced weapons and a crew of Earth's best soldiers. They struck at alien supply convoys, destroyed communication relays, and rescued human prisoners. "The key," Foster told his team, "is to be unpredictable. They expect us to line up and fight like gentlemen. Instead, we're going to fight like pirates." The aliens were confused. They had fought hundreds of wars, but always against civilized species that followed the rules of galactic warfare. Humans didn't seem to know there were rules. On the Lunar Research Station, Dr. Amy Chun worked day and night to understand the architect technology. The ancient devices were incredibly complex, but they seemed to respond to human thoughts in ways alien technology didn't. "It's like they were designed for minds like ours," she told her assistant, Dr. Kevin Brown. "The architects and humans think in similar patterns. What can we do with it?" Brown asked. Chun held up a small crystal device. "This is a weapon. It disrupts the exotic matter that powers their ships. If we can build more of these, we can level the playing field." Meanwhile, the alien fleet had chosen a new commander. Sub-Marshal Drexcan was younger and more aggressive than his predecessor. He was tired of being embarrassed by primitive humans. "No more defensive actions," he ordered. "We attack Earth directly, destroy their cities until they surrender." The alien fleet moved toward Earth. But they had to pass through the asteroid belt, and that's where Colonel Maria Santos was waiting. Santos piloted the EDF Valkyrie, an experimental fighter built with some of the architect technology. Her ship was small and fast, but more importantly, it could become invisible to alien sensors. "All wings, this is Valkyrie Leader," she said into her comm. "Remember, we only get one shot at this. Make it count." The alien fleet entered the asteroid, belt in formation. They were watching for human ships, but they didn't see the fighters hiding among the rocks. Santos waited until the perfect moment. "Now!" she shouted. 50 human fighters dropped their stealth fields and attacked. The aliens were caught completely off guard. The first wave of human missiles hit before they could raise their shields. 6 alien ships exploded in seconds, but the real target was the new flagship. Santos dove her fighter through the alien defensive fire, rolling and spinning to avoid the energy beams. Her ship's armor glowed red-hot from near misses. "Valkyrie Leader, you're taking too much fire," called her wingman, Lieutenant Dan Parker. "Get out of there." "Negative," Santos replied. "I'm almost through their defenses." She was. The alien point defense guns couldn't track her erratic flight path. Santos lined up on the flagship's bridge and fired everything she had. The missiles punched through the alien shields and exploded against the hull. The flagship's bridge shattered like glass. Submarshal Drexcan died instantly, along with most of his command staff. The alien fleet broke formation and began to retreat. They had lost 2 commanders and dozens of ships. The humans were supposed to be weak and primitive, but they fought like demons. As the aliens fell back to the outer system, they sent a message to the Galactic Concord. The response came quickly, and it was not what they wanted to hear. Supreme Commander Zolthan himself would come to deal with Earth. He was bringing a fleet of 10,000 ships. The humans had won the first battle, but the real war was just beginning. On Earth, President Riley watched the alien retreat on the main screen. The cost had been high. They had lost 15 ships and over 300 people, but they had proven something important. "We can fight them," General Martinez said. "We can win." "This was just the beginning," Riley replied. "They'll come back. With more ships, more weapons. We need to be ready." Dr. Chun's voice came over the comm from the lunar station. "Mr. President, I have good news. The architect technology is working. We can build weapons that will hurt them. But we need more time." "How much time?" Riley asked. "Months, maybe a year." Riley looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was regrouping at the edge of the solar system. More ships were coming from across the galaxy. Earth had weeks at most. "We'll buy you the time," he said. Somehow. Outside, the stars shone peacefully, but everyone knew the peace wouldn't last. The galaxy was watching Earth now. Some species were afraid of what humans might do. Others were hoping that someone had finally found a way to fight back. The war for humanity's freedom had begun, and the humans were just getting started. 6 months had passed since the first battle. Earth was losing the war. The Galactic Concord had sent 3,000 ships to crush humanity once and for all. They surrounded the solar system like a wall of steel and fire. No human ship could get in or out. One by one, Earth's colonies fell. The siege of New Geneva in the Alpha Centauri system became a symbol of human courage. Governor Steve Baker refused to evacuate his people. Instead, he turned the entire colony into a fortress. "This is our home," Baker told his people over the colony's comm system. "We built it with our own hands. We're not going to run away and let them take it." The colonists fought with everything they had. Farmers used mining equipment as weapons. Children carried ammunition to the fighters. When the aliens finally broke through the defenses, they found that every building had been turned into a bunker. Baker made his last stand in the colony's main hall. He was surrounded by 100 volunteers, all of them ordinary people who had decided to fight. When the alien soldiers broke down the doors, Baker was still firing his rifle. "Remember us," he said into his comm before the aliens cut the transmission. "Remember that we died free." The colony fell, but the aliens paid a terrible price. It took them 2 weeks to capture what should have been an easy target. More importantly, the story of New Geneva spread throughout the galaxy. Other enslaved species began to whisper about the humans who would rather die than surrender. While the colonies burned, Dr. Amy Chun worked in secret in the asteroid belt. Her hidden laboratory was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, impossible to detect from the outside. Here, she studied the architect technology day and night. "I think I understand now," she told her assistant, Dr. Kevin Brown. The architects didn't just build weapons. They built a network, a way for minds to connect across space and time. What kind of network? Brown asked. Chun showed him a glowing crystal. "This is a quantum consciousness matrix. The architects uploaded their minds into it before they died. They're still alive, Kevin. They're still here." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Nicole Taylor was leading a dangerous mission to the Vega system. Her ship, the EDF Shadow, was one of the few vessels that could still get past the alien blockade. It was built with architect stealth technology that made it invisible to normal sensors. "We need to find more architect ruins," Taylor told her crew. Dr. Chun thinks they left caches of weapons and technology throughout the galaxy. The journey to Vega took 3 days. The system was empty, except for one dead planet covered in ancient structures. Taylor's team landed near the largest building, a massive pyramid that seemed to glow with inner light. Inside the pyramid, they found something amazing. The walls were covered with crystals that pulsed with energy. When Taylor touched one, it activated. A figure appeared in the air above her. It was tall and graceful, with silver skin and eyes like stars. This was an architect, but not a recording. This was a living consciousness. "Welcome, children of Earth," the architect said. Its voice was like music. "I am the curator. I have been waiting for you." "Waiting for us?" Taylor asked. "Your species has potential. You think as we once did. You value freedom above safety. You fight when others surrender. This is why we left our legacy for you to find." The curator explained the truth about the Galactic Concord. It had started as a peacekeeping force, but it had become something much worse. The Concord didn't just conquer species. It changed them. It made them forget what freedom meant. It turned proud civilizations into slaves who were grateful for their chains. "The architects fought them long ago," the curator continued. "We had weapons that could disrupt their technology. We had ships that could hide in dimensions they couldn't see. We had the power to resist. But you lost," Taylor said. "We lost because we were alone. Every other species had already surrendered. We fought bravely, but we could not win alone." The curator's eyes seemed to burn brighter. "But you are not alone. There are others who remember. Others who wait for someone to show them that resistance is possible." The curator offered Taylor a choice. The architects could give humanity their full legacy, weapons beyond imagination, technology that could reshape reality itself. But the price was high. Humanity would have to abandon their physical forms and join the architects in their quantum existence. "You would become like us," the curator explained. "Pure consciousness, free from the limits of matter. You would be immortal, all-knowing, and all-powerful." Taylor was tempted. The offer was incredible. But she thought about the people back on Earth, the colonists who had died defending their homes, the soldiers who fought knowing they would probably lose. "We need to discuss this," she said. "My people must decide for themselves." The curator nodded. "Take this." It handed her a small device. "It will allow you to contact us when you are ready. But do not take too long. The Concord grows stronger every day." While Taylor was making contact with the architects, Captain Derek Williams was leading a raid on an alien supply base. His ship, the EDF Horizon, had been rebuilt with architect technology. It could fold space in ways that confused alien sensors. "Remember," Williams told his crew, "we're not just stealing supplies. We're sending a message. We're showing the galaxy that humans don't give up." The raid was a success. Williams' team destroyed the alien base and captured 3 cargo ships, full of weapons and equipment. But the real prize was the prisoners they freed. Among the captives were members of a dozen different species. Some had been slaves for so long they had forgotten their own names. Others were rebels who had been captured trying to fight the Concord. One of them was a blue-skinned humanoid named Zara. She was a member of the Centauri Collective, a species that had been enslaved for 500 years. "Your people fight well," she told Williams. "My people have forgotten how to fight. The Concord has made us weak." "It's not too late," Williams replied. "You can learn to fight again." Zara looked at him with wonder. "You really believe that?" "I believe that freedom is worth fighting for, no matter how long it takes." Back on Earth, President Riley faced his darkest hour. The alien fleet was closing in on the planet itself. Earth's defenses were holding, but barely. They needed a miracle. That miracle came from an unexpected source. Dr. Chun had finally decoded the architect weapon caches. The technology was beyond anything humans had ever seen. "We can build ships that exist in multiple dimensions," she told Riley. "Weapons that can destroy matter at the quantum level. Shields that can stop anything the aliens throw at us." "How long do we need?" Riley asked. "Months, maybe a year." Riley looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet would reach Earth in days. "We don't have months," he said. "We have days." "Then we need to buy time," General Martinez said. "We need to make them think twice about attacking Earth directly." The plan was desperate. Earth's remaining fleet would launch a surprise attack on the alien command ship. It was suicide, but it might give Dr. Chun the time she needed. Captain Sandra Lee volunteered to lead the mission. Her ship, the EDF Prometheus, was the biggest vessel Earth had left. It was also the most likely to survive long enough to reach the alien flagship. "This is probably a one-way trip," Lee told her crew. "Anyone who wants to leave can do so now." Nobody left. They all knew what was at stake. The attack began at dawn. Earth's 30 remaining ships launched together, flying straight at the alien fleet. The aliens were caught off guard. They didn't expect humans to attack when they were so outnumbered. The battle was fierce. Human ships died one by one as they pushed through the alien defenses. The EDF Prometheus took hit after hit, but Lee kept flying toward the command ship. "Almost there," she told her crew. Almost there. The EDF Prometheus broke through the alien fighter screen and launched every missile it had at the command ship. The alien vessel's shields flared and died. The missiles punched through the hull and exploded inside. The alien command ship began to break apart. But before it died, it sent a message to the rest of the fleet. "Destroy Earth," the alien commander ordered. "Destroy it now." The alien fleet turned its guns on the planet. But they were too late. Dr. Chun had activated the first architect weapon. A wave of energy swept out from Earth, passing through the alien ships like they were made of paper. The alien fleet began to shut down. Their engines died. Their weapons went silent. Their shields collapsed. "What's happening?" Riley asked Chun. Smiled. "I'm introducing them to quantum disruption. Their technology depends on exotic matter. Our weapons make that matter unstable." The alien fleet was helpless. But they weren't defeated. This was just the beginning. Supreme Commander Zolthun was coming with 10,000 ships. And he had weapons that could destroy entire star systems. The real war was about to begin. The war that followed changed everything. With architect technology, humanity could fight back in ways the aliens never expected. Captain Sandra Lee stood on the bridge of the new EDF Prometheus, watching her fleet prepare for battle. The ship was unlike anything humans had ever built. It could exist in multiple dimensions at once, phase through solid matter, and strike targets that were light years away. Fleet status report, Lee ordered. 200 ships ready for quantum jump, replied Commander Alex Turner. All vessels equipped with architect weapons and dimensional shields. Lee nodded. The numbers were still against them. The Galactic Concorde had 10,000 ships, but now humanity had advantages that made numbers less important. The first target was the Korthani homeworld. For 3,000 years, the Korthani Empire had been one of the Concorde's strongest supporters. Their planet was heavily defended by orbital weapons and energy shields. Beginning quantum phase, Lee announced. All ships activate dimensional drives. The human fleet disappeared from normal space. They weren't invisible. They simply existed in a different dimension. To the aliens, it was like fighting ghosts. The EDF Prometheus materialized inside the Korthani orbital defenses. The aliens had no time to react. Lee's ship fired its quantum disruptors, and the massive space stations began to tear themselves apart at the molecular level. Target the planetary shields, Lee ordered. We need to get a message to the people below. The Korthani had been loyal to the Concorde for centuries. But that loyalty was not natural. It had been forced on them through mind control technology. Dr. Jennifer Kane, working with the architect consciousness called the Weaver, had developed a weapon that could break that control. Psychic disruptor ready, Kane announced from the science station. Targeting the planetary mind control network, the weapon fired. It was invisible, but its effects were immediate. On the planet below, millions of Korthanis suddenly remembered what they had lost. They remembered their freedom, their culture, their pride. Within hours, the planet was in revolt. The Korthani people rose up against their own government, demanding answers. Why had they obeyed the Concorde for so long? Why had they forgotten their own history? The same scene played out across 17 different worlds. Human strike teams, led by commanders like Captain Derek Williams and Colonel Maria Santos, used the psychic disruptor to free entire populations. Species that had been slaves for centuries suddenly remembered what it meant to choose their own destiny. But the Concorde fought back. Supreme Commander Zolthun was a master of warfare, and he adapted quickly to human tactics. He began using weapons that targeted the quantum fields that powered human ships. The Battle of Rigel 7 showed how dangerous the war had become. Admiral Frank Murphy led 800 human ships against a Concorde fleet twice that size. The humans had dimensional advantages, but the aliens had learned to track quantum signatures. They're adapting, Murphy told his fleet. Our stealth technology isn't working as well as it used to. The battle was brutal. Human ships phased in and out of dimensions, striking and vanishing. But the aliens had set quantum traps, areas of space where dimensional travel was impossible. Several human ships were caught and destroyed. That's when Murphy decided to test Dr. Kane's new weapon. The psychic disruptor had been modified for large-scale use. Instead of targeting one planet, it could affect entire fleets. All ships fall. Back to safe distance, Murphy ordered. Activating fleet-wide disruptor, the weapon fired. The results were chaos. The Concorde fleet was made up of dozens of different species, all held together by artificial loyalty. When the disruptor broke that control, Ancient hatreds exploded into violence. The Saurian Dominion turned on the Corthony Empire. The Centauri Collective began firing on both. Species that had been allies for centuries suddenly remembered every insult, every betrayal, every reason they had once hated each other. The Concord fleet tore itself apart. Murphy's human ships barely had to fight. They just watched as their enemies destroyed each other, but victory came with a price. The constant use of architect technology was changing humanity. Soldiers like Sergeant Carl Johnson reported seeing multiple dimensions at once. Pilots like Commander Grace Lopez found they could communicate telepathically with their ships. "We're evolving," Dr. Chun told President Riley. "The architect technology is rewriting our DNA. We're becoming something new." "Is that good or bad?" Riley asked. "I don't know," Chun admitted. "The architects transcended physical existence. Maybe that's what's happening to us." The war reached its terrible climax when the Concorde deployed their ultimate weapon. They called it the Star Killer, a device that could make suns explode. The target was the Tau Ceti system, home to 2 million human colonists. Commander Lisa Hayes was leading the evacuation when the weapon fired. She watched from her ship as the star began to swell and brighten. "All ships, maximum speed," she ordered. "Get everyone out of here." But there wasn't time. The transport ships were too slow. The star exploded in a blast that lit up space for 50 light years. The Tau Ceti system was gone. 2 million people died in seconds. The message was clear. The Concorde would destroy any world that defied them. They would burn the galaxy to ash rather than let it be free. On Earth, President Riley made a decision that would change everything. Humanity would not just defend itself anymore. They would tear down the Concorde and free every enslaved species in the galaxy. "Operation Starbreak begins now," Riley announced to his war council. "We're going to liberate the galaxy, one world at a time." The plan was massive. Human fleets would attack 200 Concorde worlds simultaneously. But these weren't military strikes. They were liberation missions. Every attack would be followed by activation of the psychic disruptor. General Martinez commanded the operation from Earth. "Remember," he told his fleet commanders, "we're not conquering these worlds. We're freeing them. Show the people what freedom looks like." The attacks began at exactly the same time. Human ships appeared in 200 star systems, each one carrying the same message. You are free. Choose your own path. The Concorde's response was predictable. They began destroying their own worlds rather than let them fall into human hands. If they couldn't control a population, they would eliminate it. The galaxy burned. Ancient alliances crumbled. Long-suppressed rebellions exploded into open warfare. The Concorde had kept order for 3,000 years, but that order was built on fear and control. When the fear was gone, only chaos remained. Admiral Catherine Stone, now partially augmented with architect technology, led the final assault on Zephyr Prime, the Concorde's capital world. The battle was fought in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "This is for Earth," Stone said as their ships emerged from quantum space around the planet. "This is for freedom." The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. Ships fought across 7 dimensions at once. Weapons that existed in one reality destroyed targets in another. The very fabric of space-time was bent and twisted by the conflict. The turning point came when Captain Ben Rodriguez, piloting the experimental vessel EDF Transcendence, reached the Concorde Central Archive. This was a massive quantum computer that contained the consciousness of every species' enslaved leaders. "I'm interfacing with the archive," Rodriguez reported. "I can see everything. Every enslaved mind, every suppressed memory, every stolen dream. Free them," Stone ordered. "Free them all." Rodriguez connected his mind directly to the archive. The pain was incredible. He was experiencing the suffering of billions of beings simultaneously. But he pushed through, using his human will to break the chains that bound them. Across the galaxy, beings looked up at the stars and remembered what freedom felt like. On a million worlds, enslaved populations rose up against their oppressors. The Concord didn't just lose the war, it ceased to exist, but the cost was enormous. Captain Rodriguez died in the process, his mind burned out by the effort. Thousands of human soldiers had given their lives. Entire star systems had been destroyed. Humanity itself was changing. The architect technology was transforming them into something beyond human. They were becoming beings of pure energy, capable of existing in multiple dimensions. The war was won, but the victory was bittersweet. Humanity had saved the galaxy, but they might have lost their humanity in the process. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of her ship, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was free, but it was also broken. It would take centuries to rebuild what the Concord had destroyed. What do we do now? Commander Turner asked. Stone smiled. We do what humans have always done. We adapt, we grow, and we make sure this never happens again. The war was over, but humanity's journey was just beginning. The destruction of Tau Ceti changed everything. 2 million human lives lost in a single flash of light. President Riley stood at a rebuilt command center on Earth, staring at the empty space where the colony used to be. They want to play with stars, he said quietly. Then we'll show them what happens when humans get angry. General Martinez nodded grimly. Operation Starbreak is ready, sir. 2,000 ships, all equipped with the new quantum weapons. We can hit every major Concord world at the same time. This isn't about military victories anymore, Riley said. This is about liberation. We're going to free every enslaved species in the galaxy. The plan was massive beyond anything humans had ever attempted. Instead of conquering worlds, they would break the mental chains that kept entire populations enslaved. Dr. Jennifer Kane had perfected the psychic disruptor technology. Now it could free billions of minds with a single pulse. Admiral Catherine Stone led the assault fleet. Her body was more machine than human now, enhanced with architect technology that let her exist in multiple dimensions. She could see across space and time, feel the thoughts of her crew, and control her ship with pure mental power. Fleet commanders, this is Admiral Stone, she announced across the quantum communication network. Remember why we're here. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for every being that dreams of freedom. The attacks began simultaneously across 200 star systems. Human ships appeared from quantum space, like ghosts made real. But they didn't attack military targets. Instead, they went straight for the mind control centers that kept entire populations obedient. On the Corthony homeworld, Captain Sandra Lee led her squadron through the planetary defenses. The aliens fired desperately, but the human ships phased through their energy beams like they were made of light. Target the central control spire, Lee ordered. One shot should be enough. The psychic disruptor fired. The being was invisible, but its effects were immediate. Across the planet's surface, 12 billion Corthony suddenly remembered who they used to be. They remembered their art, their music, their dreams. They remembered that they had once been free. The reaction was explosive. Within hours, the planetary government fell. The Corthony people tore down the monuments to Concord, ruled and burned the loyalty centers where their children had been brainwashed. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On Centauri Prime, Commander Alex Turner watched as blue-skinned humanoids danced in the streets for the first time in 500 years. On Rigel 7, Colonel Maria Santos saw reptilian beings weep as they remembered their lost culture. But the Concord fought back with desperate fury. Since they couldn't control their slave populations anymore, they decided to destroy them. Across dozens of worlds, Concord commanders activated planet-killing weapons rather than let their subjects go free. The galaxy burned. Ancient worlds that had existed for millions of years died in nuclear fire. The Concord was destroying everything it had built rather than lose control. "They're committing genocide," reported Captain Derek Williams from the Vegan system. "They just destroyed 3 inhabited planets rather than let us free them." Admiral Stone felt the deaths like physical pain. Her enhanced senses could feel every life that was lost. The weight of it threatened to crush her mind. "All fleets, new priority," she announced. "Protect the civilians. Stop the planet killers. At all costs." The war became a race against time. Human ships pushed themselves beyond their limits, jumping from system to system to prevent more massacres. Some succeeded. Others arrived too late to do anything but witness the horror. Dr. Amy Chun, working from her hidden laboratory, made a breakthrough that changed everything. She had found a way to contact the architect consciousness directly through quantum space. "The architects want to help," she told President Riley. "They can give us the power to stop the killing. But there's a price." "What price?" Riley asked. "Humanity would have to join them, abandon physical existence, and become beings of pure energy. We would be immortal, all-powerful, and free from the limits of matter." Riley closed his eyes. It was the ultimate choice. Save the galaxy but lose their humanity, or stay human and watch billions die. The answer came from an unexpected source. Commander Lisa Hayes, the only survivor of the Tau Ceti massacre, spoke for all the humans who had died in the war. "We didn't fight this war to become gods," she said. "We fought it to remain free. If we abandon our humanity to win, then we've lost anyway." Her words spread through the fleet. Human soldiers, pilots, and commanders all agreed. They would find another way. That way came during the Battle of Zephyr Prime, the Concord's capital world. Supreme Commander Zal Thun had gathered the last 10,000 ships of his fleet around the planet. He planned to use them as shields while he activated a weapon that could destroy entire star systems. "If the Concord cannot rule the galaxy," Zal Thun announced, "then no one will. I will burn every star in this sector." Admiral Stone led the human fleet in a desperate assault. The battle was fought across 7 dimensions simultaneously. Ships existed in multiple realities at once, firing weapons that could destroy matter at the quantum level. But the real battle was happening inside the planet's core. Captain Ben Rodriguez, piloting the experimental vessel EDF Transcendence, had penetrated the Concord's central archive, a massive quantum computer that contained the consciousness of every enslaved leader in the galaxy. "I can see them all," Rodriguez reported, his voice strained. "Billions of minds, all trapped in digital cages. They're aware but helpless." "Can you free them?" Stone asked. "Yes, but it will kill me. The feedback will burn out my brain." Stone felt the weight of command. Rodriguez was one of her best officers, a man with a family waiting for him on Earth. But billions of lives hung in the balance. "Do it," she ordered. Rodriguez interfaced directly with the archive. The pain was beyond description. He was experiencing the suffering of countless beings simultaneously. But he pushed through, using his human determination to break the digital chains. The effect was immediate. Across the galaxy, enslaved leaders suddenly remembered their true selves. They turned on their Concord overseers, leading their people in spontaneous rebellions. The carefully maintained order of 3,000 years collapsed in minutes. Rodriguez died in the process, but his sacrifice freed more beings than had ever been liberated in galactic history. The Concord didn't just lose the war, it ceased to exist as anything more than a memory. On Zephyr Prime, Supreme Commander Zolfan watched his empire crumble. In a final act of spite, he tried to activate the Star Killer weapon. But his own officers, freed from mental conditioning, shot him down. The war was over. In the aftermath, humanity faced a choice that would define their future. The architect consciousness offered them godhood one final time. They could transcend physical existence and become shepherds of the galaxy. But Commander Lisa Hayes, speaking for all humanity, gave an answer that echoed across the cosmos. "We choose to remain human," she said. "We choose to remain free. And we choose to make sure that freedom spreads to every corner of the galaxy." The architects accepted this decision with something like pride. They had waited eons for a species that would choose freedom over power. Humanity had proven worthy of their legacy. The galaxy began to heal. Liberated species worked together to rebuild what the Concord had destroyed. Former enemies became allies. Art, music, and literature flourished as cultures rediscovered their heritage. Earth's fleet, now numbering in the thousands and crewed by dozens of different species, took on a new mission. They became explorers again, but with a purpose. They searched for other enslaved populations beyond the galaxy's edge, bringing the gift of freedom wherever they went. The final scene took place on a distant world at the galaxy's rim. A human child named Emma sat with her father, watching alien ships land on their colony. The newcomers were refugees from an oppressive empire in another galaxy. "What's out there, Daddy?" Emma asked, pointing at the stars. Her father smiled and gave the answer that had become humanity's creed. "Freedom, daughter, and the courage to fight for it." The galaxy had been set ablaze with rebellion, and from those fires, true peace had finally emerged. Humanity had kept their promise. They had remained free, and they had made sure that freedom spread to every star. The war was over, but the mission continued. Somewhere among the infinite stars, other species waited for liberation. And humanity would find them, because that's what free beings did. They shared their freedom with others. The galaxy burned no longer with the fires of war, but with the light of hope. And at the center of it all, a small blue planet called Earth continued to spin, home to the species that had dared to defy the stars themselves.